Rangiwaia and Matakana are islands off the coast of Tauranga, separated from each other by a narrow estuary. Maori Trust is an ahuwhenua trust established from amalgamated land blocks on Rangiwaia Island. Set up in 1982, it has business interests in horticulture, agriculture and forestry.
The Maori Trust kiwifruit orchard is 20.5 canopy hectares of early start Haywood green. It was established in the early 80s. At the time, the island was predominantly a dairy farm. Part of the strengths of growing kiwifruit on the island here is the lay of the land. Obviously early fruit, early land. We have more daylight hours. We've got our own microclimate on the island. We've got the ability to grow bigger fruit, earlier fruit, but we have got downsides to growing crops and kiwifruit on the island as well, which is the transport aspects of getting things on and off the island. Well, we belong to the Sika Hukapak stable. They contract to Zespri, who sell our fruit overseas and into the overseas market. We've had a tough season. PSA obviously is top of the list. At this point in time, we're fortunate to be PSA free. We have regular monitors and tests throughout the season. We've got 850 metres of artificial shelter. The shelter was erected mainly as a wind source, or stopping the prevailing wind, which is the southwest wind, coming onto the island. There is a lot of theory about PSA being the ability to be airborne. So this is basically our first frontal attack to try and stop PSA getting into our orchard. We've also got a second layer which is behind it, another 850 metres of artificial shelter. So we've got a two-skin approach to try and keep it out of the orchard. Contractors, workers, vehicle access to the island is strictly by either boat or barge. So anyone that comes, we will spray them down with detergent. Hygiene protocols are quite important to us in keeping PSA at bay. We've got 3.12 hectares of avocados. These trees are 8 years in age. We've been exporting for 4 or 5 years now. This was just another addition to the kiwifruit operations that we run here, and just utilising as much of the land as possible. Water is a huge issue for us, especially in setting and growing a good crop year after year. We've gone a long way in putting in place a big irrigation system for our operations in the avocados and the kiwifruit. It's bore water that's drilled down 260 metres and into a surface pump, which is pumped into the pond, which holds 1.6 million litres of water, which is then distributed into the orchard. Rangiwaia Island is quite renowned for losing a lot of moisture content. We will generally mulch a lot of our trees, hence another reason why we set up an irrigation scheme, just to help the trees along, as well as nutrient sources as well. We've got other operations on Rangiwaia Island, 90 hectares of grazing land, farm, and 140 hectares of year 25 forestry, which will be harvested in approximately 4 or 5 years' time. We've done scoping exercise to determine whether it is viable to replant, reforest, or alternative cropping in the forestry area. Another option for us would be, with the forestry area, turn the farming operation into one big dairy farm. So that would have quite a diverse base with regards to the trust thing. I believe that we make good decisions for our 1,500 plus shareholders. Our shareholders are paid a dividend every year, as well as kaumatua grants and education grants for young up-and-coming scholars that are going to university. There are other sporting grants that people are able to apply to the trusts, in recognition for what they do.
Across the estuary on Matakana Island, Mark Ngatai and son Inoka are dairy farming within close vicinity of the wreck of the Rena.
The initial impact of the Rena was devastating for the people, and as a consequence, the oil and the containers and whatever else was washed up on our shoreline, realising it's from Mount Manganui to Waihi, if you like. I think it's about 24 k's, the shoreline itself, and it was literally from end to end, just strewn with oil, timber, couches, all sorts of debris, and the cleanup is still going on now. Basically, I'm third generation. My son's been back, this is his third season. On coming back from the Waikato, he made the decision to do winter milk. And so this is our third season, and we've got the split now at 250. 250 winter and 250 factory supply.
When I moved back, I saw an opportunity. I suppose weather dictated most of it. We had really bad summer droughts, really dry over here in the summer, and mild winters. I thought, well, there's a premium involved, we had a lot of empty cows, which was becoming an issue. I think when I moved back here to maybe 100 empty cows. So I thought, well, you've got the weather on your side, you might as well milk them through. And then we actually planned on just milking once, just milk those empties through and then get them in calf and spring. But it worked out so well, we ended up throwing a bull in there. So Hereford bull, 6 weeks, and the other thing was the calves. You get paid top dollar for 4-day-old beefies in autumn. Obviously there's a lack of supply, so we're filling that demand, I suppose. We've got a 36-bale rotary cow shed, 30 years old now. It's had numerous upgrades. We spent $20,000 on a new vacuum pump, and I'll tell you, it's awesome. Total area, probably close to 250, but effective, you're looking at about 200. There's a lot of undeveloped land, a lot of leased land. The first issue is the sea. You're having to cart everything over, any supplies, and you've got to cross the water, and with the water comes the extra costs. You've got barge runs, and they're not exactly cheap, but it's just an added cost on top of everything else. In terms of crops, obviously summer drought was a biggie for us, so I tried a lot of things: sorghums, chicories, plantains. Actually the chicory and plantains seem to work the best. Maize, we grow our own maize, about 18 hectares a year. Different hybrids there too. Grass species, we're looking at 30 hectares a year and renewing grass species. But yeah, crops, I definitely take an interest in crops and grasses.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.